Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90.
Brought to you by Housing Finance Bank, a financial institution regulated by Bank of Uganda. Housing Finance Bank, we make it easy.
Your views, our interviews on Spectrum, Radio 1 FM 90.
Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90.
A very good evening to you, and thank you very much for joining us on this edition of Spectrum. We are live on Radio 1 FM 90, live on our website, which is www.radio1fm90.com. You click on the icon with the word Listen Live. This radio station is also live on DSTV. Our audio channel there is 897, and on Star Times, our audio channel is 97. There's also another option of listening to this radio station, and that is through the different radio listening apps. TuneIn, AfroMobile, Your TV channel, Radio Garden, and Stream Afrique. Download any of those from the Google stores of your smartphone. Look for Radio 1 FM 90, and as long as you have an internet connection, you should be able to listen to us from anywhere across the globe. My name is Kenneth Lukwago Anderson, your host. Today, we'll be looking at the progress that is being made under the Uganda Driver Licensing Systems Project. Now, we know very well that 3 years ago, the government, through the Ministry of Works and Transport, initiated the Uganda Driver Licensing Systems Project, which included issuance of modernized driving licenses to all tested drivers. Now, the new driving licenses came with new processes and charges that left a section of some people actually complaining. Now, we know very well from reports we get from the traffic police that human error remains one of the major causes of road crashes in our country, and it has been argued that many of the people who are on the roads do not qualify to be actually drivers. So we will be spending the next 1 hour looking at how that project has actually worked out, and we'll be speaking to some people from that particular institution that is handling the project. But also we want to encourage you to be part of this show. You can actually participate by sending in messages using our WhatsApp line, which is 0703 090 090. You can also actually call in. I'll be reading out the phone numbers for you to actually do so. And you tell us your experience as far as this project is concerned. Remember, it was initiated to address some of the challenges that had emerged as far as issues of driver's licenses are concerned, including what I've already highlighted as a key challenge, where so many people on the roads do not actually qualify, according to what we have heard, to be driving those vehicles. We have an option for you to actually call in and share your views with us as we wait for the guests to actually come in studio. You can call us. Use the numbers as follows: 0414 346 111, 0414 348 111, 0414 348 411, 0707 909 097. But you can also send us a message on our WhatsApp line, which is 0703 090 090. Tell us your experience with this particular project, the Uganda Driver Licensing Systems Project, which was launched 3 years ago to modernize the issuance of driver's licenses in our country. We expect our guests to be here in studio. We expect Mr. Muhaire Alex Baguma, who is the head of operations at that project, Uganda Driver Licensing System Project, who is going to be with us on this particular topic, which is very critical, looking at transport in our country. We have been told that many people actually do not go to driving schools, and they learn by doing 3 times here and there, and then they'll find their way around and get a driver's license, and before you know it, they are on the road driving without any formal instructions. They do not understand the mechanisms of a vehicle, because it's also crucial when you go to driving school. You learn a few tips here and there to understand if there is something going wrong with the vehicle that you're actually driving, which also enables you to make quick decisions as a driver. Some do not even understand road signs, and as a result, they make turns or they maneuver the vehicle in a wrong manner at a wrong point, and this has probably been one of the causes of head-on collisions that we have heard about, people not understanding the signage. And we have also had people who do not even qualify to drive certain types of vehicles because you know very well that driver's licenses also have classes, and therefore you'll find somebody who is driving a vehicle that is more powerful than them. There are those who are on the roads, and yet their sight is not that good. They are unable to read road signs that are in a distance, and therefore they struggle to make decisions, and even sometimes end up making mistakes that lead to road crashes. You know, I'm using the word road crashes because we've been actually told that accidents are things that can be avoided, but road crashes are those that are actually happen because somebody made a mistake or an error leading to it. So please do share with us your views so that we can continue discussing even as we wait for these people to actually come in. And from the WhatsApp number, I can see already comments that are coming in, and we have a comment that comes in from Richard, who actually says that the new licenses are actually expensive. Can they think about reducing the charges? That's a comment there from Richard, who thinks the charges are exorbitant. I do not know, Richard, which particular license you went for. I wish you could write back to us and explain further just how much you paid and why you think it was very expensive. A topic of discussion is the Uganda Driver Licensing Systems Project. My guest this evening is supposed to be Mr. Muhaire Alex Baguma, who is the head of operations at the Uganda Driver Licensing System Project. We expect him to be here in studio to give us more about this particular project. We value your feedback, and I'm asking you to call in. If you're ready to actually call in, use the numbers that I'm going to read out. 0414 346 111, 0414 348 111, 0414 348 411, 0707 909 097. There's also an MTN line that you can actually call on, 0774 076 394. Those are the numbers to actually call on and be part of this discussion. But also, you can send us a message like Richard has done using the WhatsApp line, which is 0703 090 090. Tell us, what has been your experience with this project, which was launched 3 years ago by the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Works and Transport to begin issuing new driver's licenses in our country. This is Spectrum on Radio 1, which is broadcasting live from its website, www.radio1fm90.com. You click on the icon with the word Listen Live. We are also coming to you live on the different radio listening apps, TuneIn, AfroMobile, UTV channel, Radio Garden, and Stream Afrique. But also, we are live on DSTV audio channel 897, and on Star Times, we are on audio channel 97. Let's see if we have callers on the line joining us for this particular discussion. Good evening. You're live on Spectrum. This is Radio 1 Spectrum. Give us your question or comment. Tell us what's your experience when it comes to issues of driver's licenses in our country, but also, generally speaking, the issue of road crashes in our country. Do you think issuing of new driver's licenses is a solution to that particular challenge? What's your experience when you actually went to get your license renewed, or when you went to get a new license from this particular project, the Uganda Driver Licensing System project under the Ministry of Works and Transport? We have another comment coming in from James. James says they need to decentralize further the issuance points from Kampala and a few other places where they have put them. We find it hard to keep on trekking to go and get these licenses. That's a comment from James. We have another comment here coming in from Odongo, who says, my experience is that I spent less time on the queue than I did previously when I went to renew my license. So far we have 3 comments. One from Odongo, another from Richard, who actually talked about the charges, and another one from James, who wants to see the services extended closer to the people. Call us. The numbers to call on 0414 346 111, 0414 348 311, 0414 348 411, 0707 909 097. We also have another number, 0774 076 394. And of course, very many Ugandans have been asking questions about this particular project, and we expect the team to actually respond to them. Some of the questions we've been hearing frequently being asked, people have been wondering, how long does it take to get a driving license? Some people are asking, can you drive with a learner's license? What happens if you do not renew your license? Will it be cancelled? A number of questions that keep on coming through the frequently asked questions when you look at what is actually on the website of these particular managers or the website of the project itself. Well, we have another comment coming in from Jen, who says, what is the alternative for a national ID when one has a NIN but not the ID card itself? And I think this question feeds into what is required for you to actually get your licensing done. Another comment comes in from Pat, who says, this licensing system in use is the most efficient public service currently in the Republic of Uganda. And it says, thank you to those project managers. Actually says I should tell the project managers that they have done a wonderful job. We have another comment. This one comes in from David. David says, my driver's license expired 2 years ago, and I've been driving for many years. Why should I be required to go back to a driving school and testing me to get my driving license renewed? That's a question from David there. Actually, it's one of the requirements which was put forward that for you to get your driver's license renewed, you will need to go back to IOV to be tested again in order to qualify for a new license. IOV, Inspector of Motor Vehicles, something like that, which is an officer under the police force who actually will scrutinize whether you still have the capability of driving. And also, I have seen one of the other requirements, you have to go to the doctor and your eyesight is tested to see what will actually, if you still have proper use of your eyesight. Can you see can you see the road signs? Can you see the road clearly? Are you able to identify your colleagues who are on the road to actually avoid even having a road crash? So you'll have to go to the doctor to actually be tested. Let's go for a break now. When we return, we will be able to get more details from people who are coming in studio as we continue the discussion about the Uganda driver's license project, which was launched 3 years ago. And today we want to understand the milestone, the issues that have been achieved. We want to understand if the objectives of this project are actually being met. Stay tuned, Radio 1 FM 90. We continue.
FM 90.
Well, thank you so much for staying with us on Spectrum, live on Radio 1 FM 90. My name is Kenneth Lukwagandason, your host. Our discussion today is progress being made under the Uganda Drivers Licensing Systems project, which was launched 3 years ago by the government of Uganda. It involves issuing new licenses, and there are detailed processes that one has to go through in order to actually get your licenses done. And as already explained, one of the biggest problems we have had, there are people who have been complaining that the process is expensive, but already we have seen a number of comments that are coming in from people who have so far been able to get their licenses renewed. For instance, we have a comment from Pat who actually says the licensing system in use is the most efficient public service currently in the Republic of Uganda. People have been actually saying you spend less time on the queue and at least a maximum of 1 to 2 hours, and you are able to actually get your license renewed. But we do want to hear from you. So please give us a call and also send us a message. You can send us a WhatsApp message on 0703-090-090. Tell us what you think about these particular projects. I'll repeat the numbers that you can actually use to call on: 0414346111, 0414348111, 0414348411, 0707-909-097. Good evening, you're live on Spectrum.
Yes, good evening, Kenneth.
Yes, thank you very much for joining us to share your views on this particular topic.
Thank you very much for keeping us alive. My name is Sam.
Yes, Sam.
Thank you very much for that topic. I must share with you that I first had my driving permit in 1996. I recall very well when the permit system began, when I joined in the permit, when I had my first permit system, it had 4 classes. That was the maximum. Within a period of about 3-4 years, it was transformed to 6 classes. Are we together?
Yes, we are. You're loud and clear.
As we moved on, it was transformed to 9 classes. Those changes have been there. Then when it reached 9 classes, thereafter came now the new system called computerized. This is the small ones now. Then as we had not coped up with the new computerized, the way it was called, they get the classes to about, how many now? They're about 9. About 9, 10 there. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about the transformation of classes and new policies, new tactics, new ideas. It's not the first time. But the problem is that why is it that before the whole population, the whole intended persons get to understand what is about, what the system is about, they again come up with a new thing. Before those people join in that new thing, they again transform to another thing. Now it appears that there's a new system that has been brought in. We need really to understand from the managers, much as we appreciate that they inherited the first technology management. Some people are thanking the Minister of Works for doing so wonderful work. No, it is not our ministry. It is the first technology. They followed the system of the first technology by Brother Anderson. Had it not to be the first technology, we would be now suffering the same bacteria of the NIRA. Can you imagine if you have your data in the system? It's only a matter of going, if you have lost your ID, you just go there, they click on, these are your names, everything comes up, they print for another, and that system has failed. But when you go to the permit system, the licensing place system, very perfect, as somebody mentioned. They get it there, they say, what is your name? They click in and see if it is still valid. They print for you a permit within 30 minutes, my brother. Believe that person who has shared with you that it is very efficient indeed. But when it comes to the NIRA, and it's the same thing, we use the ID to create up a permit or a license. But I don't know what is happening with the NIRA. Can you one time invite someone, we ask those critical questions? What is special about the NIRA, the ID thing, as compared to the driving license? Because it uses the same system. So I want to commend the ministry for inheriting a very efficient system of first technology, the South African company, and keeping it at that level.
All right, thank you very much.
I wish all departments follow that. Thank you
All
very
right,
much.
Thank you very much for your in-depth submission there, sharing with us your experience, how you've been moved from, how you actually went through to acquire your license. We are going to be joined by Miss Catherine Nantumwe, who is a supervisor at this project. That is the Uganda Driver Licensing System Project, to respond to some of the issues that have already been raised, but also to take us through the milestones, the things they have been able to achieve from the time this project started 3 years ago. This is Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90, but keep your comments coming so that we can continue the discussion, because your views actually help us to shape the discussion here in studio. Well, we are now joined by Catherine on the line. Good evening, Catherine, and thank you very much for joining us. Catherine, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Kenneth.
Thank you very much for joining us on the line to share with the members of the public about the Uganda Driver Licensing System Project. And from the onset, tell us, what were the objectives of this project at the time it was being started?
The objectives of UDLS?
Yes, please.
Okay. So the Uganda Driver Licensing System is a project of Ministry of Works, and its purpose, the purpose for this project is to ensure that only licensed drivers are on the road, but they have to be. It's not simply the usual. We have to make sure they are trained. We have to, all the processes, get training from driving school, all of that. What is different, why this project was created, it's 3 years old now, was to have that, the ability to print and issue these cards back into the hands of the Ugandan government. Because remember, before it was the South African first technology that was doing these computerized cards. But as of 2021 March, government took over and implemented. They are the implementers of the driving license printing and issuance.
All right, 3 years down the road, what have you been able to achieve?
Okay, so we have had over almost 400,000 Ugandans are licensed. This new card that is supplied by UDLS is a card that is made by Uganda Security Printers, and that is important because we have in this card security features that were not present in the old one. We have the NIN number, which is now holding a driver, holding a license, more accountable with the ability to trace them, not just with the driver license, but also the national ID. The card is acceptable. You can drive. If you hold this card, you're okay to drive in the East African community and the COMESA countries. This is key because many of our drivers are getting opportunities to work out of the country. This card can be exchanged whatever country you reach into, because the classes have been aligned to the ISO standard. But then what we are very proud of being able to demystify the service delivery of government agencies. We have great feedback from the public because the system has been, the processes have been made the driving license process much easier for the Ugandan.
All right. Maybe let's go for a break.
Sure.
Let's go for a break. When we return, I want people to get well acquainted with the process. What documents are involved if somebody actually wants to either get a new driving license or to renew their license. There are a number of comments that are actually coming in, although majority of people actually saying the process is actually very easy and that you are very efficient. We'll be able to hear more from that side so that people can understand how they can actually partake of this service. Stay tuned, Radio 1 FM 90. We continue after this break.
Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90. Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on Spectrum, which is live on Radio 1 FM 90. My name is Kenneth Lukwagandason, your host. Our topic of discussion today, we are looking at the Uganda driver's licensing project, which was kickstarted 3 years ago. My guest on the line is Ms. Catherine Nantumwe, who is a supervisor in that particular project. Now, Christine, someone out there probably has a driver's license which is expired. Maybe they got it during the first technology time. Maybe somebody is now of age and they want to get a driver's license. Take us through the process. What do they need to actually do that?
Okay, I'll begin with the easiest part of the processes, which is the renewal. So if you're holding a card, a driving license that is expired right now, which is the reality for everybody who has a first technology card, what we will need is the old card, the original copy of the old card, and then a payment and a national ID. Payments are for 1 year, it's 130. For 3 years, it's 210. For 5 years, it's 310. Ken, this is one other thing that we have managed to do, or UDLS was able to do with this process, is in the past you would have two types of payments. You'd have the payment in the bank and then you'd have the extra. But now all the payments have been made into one. So you make that one single payment, come in with the old license, the national ID, and a receipt because you're paying in the bank with URA account. The second process that is common is for those that don't have licenses and are beginning for the first time. Now, on this system, you must have enrolled in a driving school. So even before you come to get what is called a provisional or learner license, we will ask for a proof of enrollment, a letter of enrollment from a registered driving school, your national ID, a medical form from a doctor that tells us about your eyesight and your mental capability, and then payment of 60,000. When you come with that, you will receive what's called a provisional or learner license. That now helps you to be able to train or to be able to practice on the road in preparation for the test. The driving test actually can only be conducted by the Uganda police, the traffic police, where in Kampala you go to Naguru, but then there's Chira and Jinja, there's Sezibwa. There are so many IOVs in different places. So once you get your learner license, the next step is testing with the IOV. Once you have tested and passed, the IOV issues you what is called a certificate of competence. That certificate of competence for the particular class you've trained in will now inform us that you are a driver who is able to operate on the road. So when you return to get a full license, you pay for 1 year 135,000, for 3 years 230, and for 5 years 330. Those are the common ones. But then we are also having a lot of foreigners come in, and we are able to exchange. It's called a foreign exchange. They retain their license for the country, but then we are able to also give them a license that allows them to operate on our roads here. And that costs 135 for 1 year, 230 for 3 years, and 330 for 5 years. The difference is for their identification, we'll need a passport that holds a visa given by Uganda that you're able to live and work here. So a work permit is needed. We have dependent passes. But then for countries like Kenya, we just need their ID. We are able to exchange the Kenyan license with simply an ID. I think those are the three common ones.
All right, and there are people who are actually sending in comments here, so I'm going to read them out so that you can respond to some of them. Somebody writes in and says, can they clarify on the issue of overcharging people who had initially gotten classes B and CM at a go in the early 90s? Now, when you go for renewal, you are sent back to IOV for re-inspection after paying text fees twice before you are being subjected to serious extortion by the inspectors and driving schools. They normally ask for 300,000, no receipts issued. Then they said they toss you like a pendulum at the mercy of the two well-compromised extortionists. Why did the previous licensing then issue them at once if it was not supposed to be? Why then do they double tax the license holders who got it genuinely from the offices or officials then? Let's stop overtaxing citizens. That's a comment from Peter, who is listening in from Kisase. And he adds, please cross-check this well-planned double taxation and enriching the inspectors and driving schools at Naguru. This is a serious cartel. He actually caps it there with that particular word. How would you respond to Peter?
First of all, I would respond by saying, Peter, we understand your frustration, and it is something that the ministry is really trying to figure out the best way to streamline that process. But I also want Peter to understand that the reason why this is happening is because, Kevin, until a few years ago, your NIN number, which shows your date of birth, was not appearing on this permit. Now, as we are printing these with the NIN, with the age displayed alongside your experience, we are realizing that a lot of irregularities are showing up, which we know may have either been intentional or simply because there's no actual date, actual document, like now the NIRA, to check people's age against. So according to the law, for you to get a Class C, B is a class where you begin for motor vehicles. To be able to get C, you have to be at least 25 years of age. That is what the law says. But we are finding that the people with this issue had B and C printed at the same time, which now creates within the system what is called an anomaly, because it's supposed to be when you're 18, you're able to drive. Maybe you get your license at 20. You're still not eligible to have a cargo class added until you're 25. But we have these old licenses showing up in the system that have these classes added while people were underage. And the reason why they were underage is not necessarily that something was wrong with the system, but we didn't have an actual national identification data to check against. So, Peter, if you wanted to drive cargo and you were 22, you could make up your age and say you're actually 26. And you hold that for a while. But now, because the NIRA data and your actual data are showing up at the same time, we are able to catch that. And this measure of them of the clients returning to retest was put in place so that this client can retain their history of driving, but then also that the system can actually, the data and the history held actually do make sense. I don't know if that explanation helps you.
All right, we have another comment coming in from Sue Henry, who is listening in from Makerere University. He says, my only worry is being asked for an old permit, which I could have lost before a new one is issued. Why is it done that way?
Okay, so within the system, before we release a new one, we must destroy. We must have on record when we are destroying. But if you don't have it, if you lost it or whatever, it was stolen or it got destroyed, what we require in place of that step where we're supposed to scan it is we scan instead a police letter. So we have a record of actually this document no longer being in existence because it's no longer with you, given that you've reported it lost or stolen or missing. So we are able to comfortably cancel that other document out and then be able to reissue a new one.
All right, we have another comment coming in from Ariko, who says, Kenneth, as a country, we have a problem. I got my permit in 1999, but to my surprise, I took my permit for renewal, but I was told my permit had a problem, and I was made to redo a test, and to be tested, you pay 400,000 to the driving school that deals with police IOV. I got another person who got his permit in 1984 going through the same. Send investigators at IOV and see the suffering of old men paying money for class CH. That is a record there with that comment. Would you like to respond to him?
Oh, Kenneth. All I can say is that these comments, we are taking note of this, and we will communicate and further report them to the authorities who are, in our case, the Ministry of Works and Transport, because they're the only ones that regulate that. Our job is simply to print and issue when we have all the documentation and alignment, as I explained.
Emmanuel Inamgongo, can someone help me understand what the difference between a driver's license and a driving permit? That's a question there from Semwanga Emmanuel.
Okay, so Semwanga, what happened with this new system is we tried to have the ISO, which is the International Standard Organization, alignment for our documentation. According to the ISO standards, it's called a driving license and not a driving permit. It's simply a name, but it is important for especially for ISO recognition. So there is not a big difference. It's simply a name saying this is a license and not a permit.
Well, we have another comment. Can one drive with a learner's permit? That's a question from Cheyune.
Okay. So Cheyune, while you have the provisional, you can drive. You've seen the cars that have L on them. That means it's the learner who is maybe practicing or getting more comfortable on the road. You can drive only if you're under instruction, because that's how you're learning, and that means you have another designated or qualified driver or instructor in the car with you. However, once you have gone to the IOV and gotten tested, and you have the stamp and certificate number on your provisional license, you can operate it, because that CC number shows that you're competent, but you should try as much as possible to convert from that license to a full license.
All right, we have another comment coming in from Patrick Rutaguera, who says, I cannot thank that institution enough. It's proof that where there is a will, things can work out. That's a comment from Patrick there, giving you flowers. We have a comment coming in from Justine who says, hello, Anderson. There is need for the Uganda driving licensing system to set up driving schools too, instead of leaving it to private companies or individuals only. Otherwise, I like the efficiency at UDLS. I renewed my license for 5 years and I paid $310,000. I think this cost is reasonable. That is Justin from SETA. Are you thinking about starting your own driving schools?
Kevin, like I said, we are a project of Ministry of Works. Ministry of Works and Transport has the mandate to regulate however it sees fit the transport industry. So all of these comments we are taking to heart and we'll present them. But UDLS has no such mandate.
All right. Comment comes in from David. My driver's license expired 2 years ago and I've been driving for many years. Why should I be required to go back to a driving school and testing me in order to renew my driving license again?
Okay. So let's say, Kevin, you're holding a license for 5 years. So it's 2023. In 2028, your license expires. You are given two extra years after expiry, which would mean that in 2010, your license, we can no longer renew it with the full confidence that nothing has happened in that almost 7 years. Why you return to the IOV is because most times certain situations have changed. Maybe you're now wearing glasses. You've gotten older, there could be a health issue. We just don't know what has happened in the 7 years since we issued this license. And we think it's reasonable.
All right, we have another rejoinder from Peter who complained about taxation, double taxation. And his specific concern now is on the errors. He says, these were errors made by your officials. Why then do you transfer them to the holders? And yet it was from within the government. Let government carry their own cross and the liability there, he says. Peter's
complaint is one of those that, like I said, we are forwarding to our to ministry. And I know that things or measures will be put in place to help and to maybe mitigate this cost that everybody is complaining about.
Well, somebody actually writes in and says, what is the punishment if I'm caught driving without a permit? That's Diana. He says she's tired of giving kitu kidogo. She wants to serve her punishment now. That's a comment there from Diana. I don't know if you know the penalties involved if one is found without a driving license.
So, Diana, it is actually, I don't know what you mean. If you're tired of paying kitu kidogo, I think your best recourse would be to get yourself a driving license. The processes are really not as difficult as you think, and that would solve your issue. What I know is that when it is a crime, I don't know how much you would pay, but actually operating a motor vehicle without a license is one of the higher penalized offenses.
All right, we have another comment. This one comes in from Ben, who is thanking you for making the process very friendly. He says, good job. He acquired his license in 2000, and he has classes A and B, and he says they are actually doing a very good job. And we are coming towards the end of this show, Catherine.
Yes.
Looking forward, as you continue to innovate and to issue more licenses to Ugandans, what are you looking at going forward?
What I think generally UDLS is hoping to do is to again further streamline the process. Discussions are underway of maybe having online renewals done. We're also having others hoping to have more regional offices, because right now we have six
regional offices.
Yes, Jambale, Arua, Gulu, Bara, and Fort Poto. we hope to open more. And then there's also what's called a mobile enrollment, where a mobile enrollment van moves around. So we are trying to make sure that almost everybody that is on our roads operating bikes, motorbikes or motor vehicles is really held accountable to being on the road, and that starts with them being licensed. And we think the end goal of all of this is greater road safety.
All right, we have a comment from Nelly, who is in Kisasi, who says, my UDLS license issued 3 years ago expires this year. Does this mean I have to get renewal? To get renewal, I have to go to IOV? That's a question there.
No. So if you again, the people who go to IOV are those who have waited more than 24 months or 2 years after expiring. If it's expiring this year, you don't have to go to the IOV. You simply come in and we renew it. However, if it hits 2025, you will fall in that category that would need to do a refresher test.
All right, we have another comment from Justin, who says, Anderson, if it's necessary for people to go for a test at IOV, why not set a non-standard fee instead of leaving IOV officers to extort a lot of money from the people?
This is on the list of things we will present. This is the feedback we're getting from the public that we'll pass on to ministry.
All right. So as we come towards the end of this show, what would you like your clients out there to actually know about UDLS and how they can actually get quality services from you?
Okay. So one of besides the fact that we are offering great customer service when they show up, we want them to also be informed. We want, even if you're going to interface with the driving school or the IOV, we want you to know exactly what the process is. So we hope we have a website, it's functional, and it's also interactive. You can ask any question along the process. We have a call center that has a toll-free number, 0800-211-002. So what we are thinking is, a driver, you don't have to be alone, unaware of what we really need. Again, we cannot go with you. We cannot hold your hand through the other processes, but at least we can inform you so that whenever it is you're facing the driving school or the IOV, you're equipped with the right information.
There's another rejoinder from Ben here who says, is it possible to acquire C1, CE1, and C classes at once? Ben there with that point.
Okay. I will answer it this way. If you qualify, that means now in this case, if Ben is 25 and he's doing cargo classes, he has to retest for all of them. And if he's issued certificates of competence for these, then it is okay. For the classes that must have, which are considered the passenger classes, which is the D classes, those ones you need experience of at least 5 years beyond the 25 years. So you need to be at least 25 and also have experience of 5 years before we have the passenger classes added to your license.
All right, maybe a last comment coming in. Why must Ugandans keep paying to renew licenses?
Okay. So this is an interesting question that I can only answer this way. From one, I don't know if the legal parts of it, but from let's say the UDLS or USP section, is because every time you come in, we must print a new card. So that is maybe the short answer. We are not, this is not a card that we simply stamp your new particulars. We actually have to reprint a card. I think that's why the cost from our end continues.
All right. I must thank you, Catherine Nantumwe, supervisor at the Uganda Driver Licensing System Project. Thank you very much for joining us on the line to respond to some of these comments that have come in from the listeners and also give us more insight about this particular project.
Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you, dear listeners, for sending in your comments. I hope you've got clear answers from the supervisor there. Time is not our best ally. We come to the end of this show. But tomorrow, do join me for Spectrum Extra, 2 hours of analysis of the top events of the week. I've been your host, Kenneth Lukwago Anderson. Up next, we'll have the news in English with Miss Josephine Dagano. Thereafter, we'll have the Soul Train with BB Jr.
Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90.